Real stories with bold creatives.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Captain Off Script. My today's guests are far from being just graphic designers. They are founders, entrepreneurs, parents. They are also, I would say, a power couple of graphic design in the world today. They've been together for so long. They work together, well, most of their lives. And I'm super, super happy to have you here today. We have been talking for quite a long time, but they've had a conference. They've had so many things going on, and we have finally managed to record this. Armin and Bryony, welcome to the show.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, pleasure. Glad to make it happen before the end of the year.
Yeah, I'm also really happy it's happening this week because everything from next week on, it will be like quite crazy on both sides, I believe. So why don't you tell us something about your starts, both of you? Like, how did you start from earliest beginnings, from where the interest in graphic design came from? I know Armin didn't have it initially and wasn't really in the world of graphic design, but you can give us a bit more info.
Go ahead, since we were talking about you.
All right. I was a terrible student in high school, just barely graduated, and I had no interest in going to university to study anything that required testing or memorizing things. And I used to draw the Metallica logo and Iron Maiden logo in my notebook instead of taking notes. So I figured graphic design seems like the path of least resistance. I enrolled in graphic design school, and unlike, this is maybe more similar to European schools where I went to college for 4 years just for graphic design. Like in the US, you can major in different things and stuff like that. So this was, full-on graphic design in the late 1990s. So the computer was barely, was just starting to become part of the, curriculum and process. And yeah, at the beginning we were making, stamps with potatoes, just like that was an exercise, and drawing. And it was just like, this is not for me. But eventually, like, kind of like the second year, it was not for me, but it's not taking tests and memorizing shit. So eventually we did our first like stationery project, and that's where it clicked, and we're like, oh, this is cool. And then I just really started to get into design sort of on my own. Like my teachers, they were fine, but they weren't like, the classic teacher that pushes you to be your best or whatever. They just, were there to do their job, and I was there to do my job. But eventually, since I liked it so much, I just started to get more invested. And that's where I'll stop, because then the story gets intertwined between me and Brian.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
All right. So kind of using the same chapter of our lives, I grew up in a fairly creative household. My mother was a fine artist. My dad was a lawyer turned novelist. So exposure to the arts was a big part of my upbringing. When I was in high school, I was lucky enough to be able to choose some electives, and one of those was actually graphic design in my sophomore year. And it kind of all clicked, and, I can actually get paid to be creative and do some interesting things that are not just, figure drawing or going into architecture, which is also a big part of my family and kind of like where all the creatives ended up prior to me. And so upon graduating from high school, I went, just like Armin, straight into university, into the graphic design program, where I lasted about a year. I discovered that I absolutely loved graphic design, but graphic design in Mexico at that point had been taught at the university level for a little over a decade. So it was in its infancy. And all of the teachers, as Armin was saying, were there to do their job, and that was about it. Most of them were architects that turned into graphic designers, or recent grads from the graphic design program with no professional experience. So there was a big knowledge gap between what I saw graphic design could be and what I was getting. And I got very frustrated. So I ended up leaving that university and moving to the US to study at what was then the Portfolio Center in Atlanta, and now the Miami Ad School that is now closed because a lot of time has passed since. But by making that big change and that big leap, I was able to fulfill the graphic design knowledge that I wanted and the experience that I needed from people who had actually been in the industry much longer. That story is now different in Mexico, and I'm very happy to see that it has progressed and moved along. But in that moment, that was a big factor in how our lives have changed since.
But you two met in Mexico during the university. How did it happen? Through a mutual friend, if I'm not correct, but give us a bit more details.
Yeah, so we were in there's not that many universities in Mexico, Mexico City. There's like 3 big ones. Bryony was in one of them. I was in the other.
And the other one was very far away, so it was not an option.
Yeah, the other one was really, really far. So one fateful night, it happened to be Valentine's Day weekend. Me and a friend it was Saturday night, and we're like, well, if we don't have dates for Saturday, we're not going to go out. So to no one's surprise, we did not have dates. So we were like, all right, let's just go out and, get drunk and have fun. Not to encourage drinking, but, that's what you do at that age. So we went out, and I was in the process of getting drunk, but I had just started. So it was like I was still, I was still coherent and had enough courage.
And a little bit of charm.
No, yeah, just enough. And my friends and I were sitting at a table, and Bryony and her friends were sitting at the table next to us. And somehow we ended sitting.
Well, there was a couple of people that had decided to get together there that were, one from each table kind of thing.
Okay.
So we had a mutual friend that sort of united those 2 tables, and then we just happened to be sitting next to each other. Again, like I had enough alcohol in me to have the courage to talk to a girl. And so I did. And we just started talking. Then it turned out that my friend who I had made the deal that no dates, no going out, he left me. He left the nightclub and just left me there. But
it turns out that he lived 5 minutes away from me in a city with 20 million people. And
wow.
And so I gave him a ride home in the car that I was not supposed to have that night, but my parents were out of town. So I was also not supposed to go out that night, but ended up going out. Anyways, I gave him a ride home, and then that was a Saturday night. And then he called me on Sunday, and I was like, so refreshing. He did not wait for 3 days and send a message through the mutual friend to inquire or anything like that. I was like, I like this.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah, and 2 weeks later, we were girlfriend and boyfriend.
Oh, that's really good. And then the whole journey from that moment to today, it was all the 2 of you together, and that's really quite amazing.
Yeah, so when Bryony went to Atlanta, I still had a year left of college, so I just finished as fast as I could. I wrote my thesis in record time. I wrote it over the summer, where like most people take like a full year to do it in Mexico. I just did it with the 2
over the summer and in one semester.
Yeah, so I just banged it out as quickly as possible, and then I was like, I need to get to Atlanta. This was the original .com era of the late 1990s. I had an interview in Atlanta at a large internet consultancy. They offered me the job on the spot, which is unheard of now. And they're like, go back home. Our HR team will process your visa. We'll see you back in 3 months, which again, that doesn't happen now. But back then it was so easy to get a work visa, and there was so much money going around for internet consultancies that, a year later, I was, literally weeks after my thesis presentation, I was in Atlanta.
Amazing. Bryony, were you surprised that he actually got a job considering how good his portfolio was at that moment?
No, because entry job level interviews and first experiences, you're taking a gamble on the person much more than just a portfolio. And in that moment, they were hiring hundreds of people. It was definitely a boom. So I could see that somebody was charmed by him. What can I say?
Okay, of course.
Because,
I'm not
because
surprised.
my portfolio was weird.
It was weird, but it had character. It was not the same as everybody else's.
Okay.
And I think that the person who interviewed you could see that, see, I can work with this, I can mentor this, I can, massage this into something that I want in my team versus, just I think they saw the potential.
And you finished university, Bryony, and you both started working, changed companies. At one point, you've been moving from Atlanta to Chicago first?
The first stop was Chicago. We realized that we both wanted to end up in New York. We had this mindset of what the design career should be.
Okay.
And it was also meant to be temporary. And at some point, we were going to go back to Mexico. But we very quickly realized as a first job as immigrants in New York, we would be living in a closet and getting coffee and not getting paid much. So luckily, we were able to secure first jobs in Chicago. And we were there for almost 5 years and worked through visa stuff through our jobs. And that allowed us to show up in New York with a bit of a resume and a better chance of actually getting a competitive salary and be able to live in New York.
Okay. And Armin, if I'm not wrong, your first job in New York was for Pentagram?
It was my second job.
Okay.
Yeah. So the way that happened was when we were looking to move from Chicago to New York, the very first person that I emailed and got in touch with to get a job was Michael Barut at Pentagram. And I said, look, I'll do whatever it takes to work at Pentagram for you specifically.
For a little bit of context, we had already met Michael prior because of some
one of our first design
blogs. And we had done a little event in our house, and he had happened to be in Chicago, and he's like, "Can I come and see this event?" And
amazing,
you all. And so there was a bit of a connection there already.
It wasn't completely random. But yeah, at that time, he said, "Look, I would love to have you, but you have a little bit more experience than our typical new hires." So it was 5 years experience. It wasn't that much, but they'd like to hire really young designers so that then they can get
tailor them.
They can get groomed in the Pentagram way. So okay, all right, I'll find another job. So I found another job at a small design firm called Decor Design, and it was great. I was there for 6 months, and then one day Michael sent me an email "Hey, my 2 senior designers happen to both leave at the same time. And would you like to come in for an interview?" I'm like, "Yes, I'll stop whatever I'm doing right now and come over," because we happened to be literally 2 blocks away in New York.
Okay.
I didn't go right away. I had to get dressed properly to go to an interview. And then I just, I think it was a formality. In his mind, he had already made up his mind that he wanted to hire me, which was perfectly fine for me. We had a nice interview. And he's just you can start. If you can start in a couple of weeks, we'll make that happen. And it was, kind of like a dream come true.
During all the time, you were actually doing your own things, doing a blog.
Yeah, we were kind of dabbling. We were doing the blogs, and then we would get some people together to chat with a designer or things like that. But it was very informal, definitely that side weekend evening hustle without it being a financial goal or anything like that. It was just, we wanted to do this. We were very cold in Chicago and did not want to go out into the streets. So we had something to do at home kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's when we started Speak Up. So that was 2003 in Chicago. By the time we got to New York, that was 2005-ish. We got to New York before starting Brand New. Brand New, we started it right as I started the Pentagram too. It was always kind of we always had an interest in writing about design. And then with the boom of blogs back in the early 2000s, we're hey, this is something that we can do. And it gives us an opportunity for, our industry to get to know us, which it wasn't an ambition early on. It was just hey, we can do this, see who else is into it. And it turned out that a lot of people were into it.
And at what point did you decided to do just your own things, to stop working with agencies? How did it happen?
It was a natural progression in the sense that, so Armin was at Pentagram and I had a job at Addison doing annual reports down in Wall Street. And I loved doing annual reports, but I also knew it was a short-term situation in the sense that we wanted to have our own design firm. In our heads, we had that Brooklyn design firm, down the line kind of thing. But we also knew that it was a big risk and we wanted to start a family. So I stepped away from the agency life and started working for ourselves in a way, while Armin was still with a nice steady paycheck in Pentagram and that stability. And I started to get freelance gigs and clients, some of them coming from the design firms that I had worked with, or even from Pentagram projects that were too small for them to handle. They're like, okay, we'll take this big project, but Armin and Bryony over here will do this little thing kind of thing. And so we migrated that way, and in me figuring things out for us, started a family. And that's when things shifted in our big plan as to how it was all going to shake up. And I'll let Armin speak to that.
Yeah, so I was at Pentagram, happy as can be. Michael was happy as can be with me. And then, so we had our first kid, and they gave me, well, not me, not just for me, but this is a policy that they have at Pentagram, that dads, both mothers and fathers, would get 3 months off
paternity leave,
which is almost unheard of. And I was like, okay, I'll take 3 months off, half pay, and then I'll go back to Pentagram. It'll be great. And then as soon as I went back,
after enjoying 3 months at home doing the blog, like
more full time,
and then what I did is I never told my clients I was on maternity leave. I figured between the two of us and naps, and we can. I wasn't so busy that it would be overwhelming, but I was like, I don't need to tell anybody, anything.
So, I came back, and I think within 2 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, I was like, this is not working out for me. Like, because, with Pentagram, the only way to achieve the level of work that it's expected of Pentagram is to put in a lot of time. And it's not like a sweatshop or anything. It's just like, it's a personal thing that if you want it to be up to the standards, you have to spend more time
and mental and emotional energy. Like, you have to be fully invested in what you're doing.
So what started happening after I came back 3 months after was just that, I was not completely focused. And I was like, you know what? I'd rather be at home with this baby that just poops and cries. But for some reason, I'd rather be doing that than being here at the office. And it wasn't fair for Michael either that I wasn't giving it my 100%. I think a month and a half later, Brian and we were in a coffee shop, and I told Bryony, like, I think I want to leave Pentagram. And she's like, yeah, I can tell. And we're like, okay, that's
now
one
what?
conversation. Now what? How do we survive? And at that point we had, so Bryony had some freelance clients. We had some advertising on Speak Up and Brand New, which were already going at the time. We had a book project, and we're like, okay, we can survive for 6 months.
Yeah. So we still have this muffin bag where we tallied, like, okay, what is the billable that we have right now going on? What's coming in? And we're like, okay, we can survive 6 months.
Okay.
If we don't go too crazy and we budget ourselves, we've got 6 months. That means we have 6 months to answer this question of how we're going to make it work.
Yeah. Okay. And then we were just like, all right, let's do it. And I think for the first 2-3 years, we worked nonstop. It was just like, word of mouth, clients from Pentagram, because Michael would be like, all right, love it. You go do your thing. Any project that was too small for Pentagram, they would send to us. So we had steady work for a really long time until the recession of 2008 and 9.
Which also coincided with us kind of crashing with New York. We had a 2-year-old by the time we left. And and realizing, you know what, we're living in New York and paying to live in New York, and we're using like an 8-block radius. We go nowhere beyond the free playground and the little things that are around us, yet we're bleeding money into the city. So we figured it was time to relocate.
Okay. And from all the places, you pick
Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas, yeah.
We happened to visit over the winter break, and it was 75 degrees, and the kid was playing in the creek, and we were like, glorious. This sounds amazing.
Absolutely, yeah. I can understand. Yesterday, here in Madrid, I went with my husband out to see some things, and it was so sunny, like 15 degrees during the day. We were sitting outside having a beer, and it was absolutely amazing. So I can understand you, and it's like December, it's Christmas time, but you can't sit outside because it's so nice and warm. So, yeah.
And for us, not having any family in the entire country and working from home gives us the freedom to pick up and just go anywhere that makes sense for other reasons. But we're not tied to anything or pulled anywhere due to those circumstances.
Okay. Well, that's amazing thing, definitely.
It would be nice to have grandparents to help with little kids, around during certain periods of life, but at the same time, it does allow for a lot of freedom.
Yeah, yeah. And how did life in Texas go?
It was good.
Yeah, it was really great.
When we first got there, it was a bit of a challenge simply because we were still trying to sever ties with New York and the mortgage over there and a new mortgage over here and the recession. And at the same time, all of the clients were like, well, let's see where this is all going. So we're going to pause. We're going to finish this project and not take on anything else. And all of a sudden we're like, how are we going to do this?
Yeah. So I know we just said that it was great, but the first year in Austin was bad. And it was just because that,
it wasn't Austin's problem. It was
too many bad things happening at the same time, not just for us, but for everyone. But at the time, this was 2009. So by then, Brand New was 3 years old. We already had a fairly sizable audience online. And yeah, so, when that moment came, we're like, what the hell do we do? We're like, all right, so.
We've always wanted to do a conference.
Yeah, we were doing small events here and there. And then, years before, we're like, oh, let's do a graphic design conference. And a friend of ours said, well, it's difficult and you need to get insurance and it's like you need to be covered for $1 million. We're like, that's
and that completely shut us down. It shut us down for years.
Yeah.
Wow.
It turns out that getting insurance for, right now we have insurance for $5 million and it's not a big deal. It's just like
we pay the bill and that's it.
Yeah. It's just like,
yeah.
But at the time, we just our level of maturity was like, no, that's too grown up. There's no way we can do that. But yeah, I think when your backs are against the wall, like we're like, all right, we need to figure this out. It cannot be that scary. So that's when we decided to do the Brand New conference. So 2009, we sort of made the decision to make it happen so that we could do it in 2010.
And the way we approach all of our projects and things like that, and that one is the biggest example, is we take very big risks, but they're very calculated and kind of informed risks. So they're not reckless. And what we did there was go to New York and kind of rely on those friendships and relationships that we had established over the last 5 years by calling some favors and things like that to make it happen. And at the same time, we were using Eventbrite, to sell the tickets. And what they do is that they give you the money of the tickets the day after the event, basically making sure that you didn't scam everybody, which is great. I understand. But when you see that you're trying to spend all this money to make an event for 500 people, but you don't have it, the risk was we basically maxed out all of our credit cards and used up all of our savings, but it was in a balance sheet against what Eventbrite was promising me. So we never overspent or anything like that, but we were just managing that constant balance, and it worked out. But it was a big risk because we had by the time the conference ran around a 10-month-old and a 3-year-old.
Oh, wow.
So that was a little challenging.
No, I love that you mentioned all the risks, because it seems like from the beginning where you moved to the US to study, and then Armin followed, and then you moved to Chicago, then to New York, which was super expensive even at that time. And then just moving to, in the middle of the crisis, to Austin, Texas, and then doing all these things. It seems like you were literally willingly jumping into all these things. But it's good to know that you had, like, as you said, the balance sheets, and you had it all kind of planned. You know, it's not that it was 100% sure that things would be equal at the end, but it's good to know that it's not just jumping out of nowhere. So that's really good. I mean, for younger designers now to understand that it's not just like, oh, I'm going to do this and fly to New York and see what happens. So yeah, that's really good talking about those things.
Yeah, and just kind of like figuring out what are the pros and the cons, and what is the worst case scenario and what is the best case scenario, and try to figure out what you're comfortable with in between those two things. And yeah, that's sort of what we've been doing all this time. It's just like, what's the worst that could happen? Are we okay with that? What's the best that could happen? Oh, that'd be great. So, you sort of, and there go the dogs.
Oh, there. I mean, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah.
But that, for example, informs a very kind of big part of our business, in that we do not have employees. We never have had employees, and we will never have employees.
Why?
Because
Why?
the moment somebody else's livelihood and their insurance and health, that kind of stuff, all of their benefits depend on the decisions that I make and the risks that I take, I'm not going to take those risks.
I absolutely love that, because I have my own experience. I had before an agency of, at one point, 15 people, and it was so stressing at one point that I actually wanted to quit the whole agency thing. But then you understand that you have so many people actually depending on you, and it cannot be your decision. Oh, I'm just going to close it overnight and do the things. And I mean, you could, of course, you can't do that. But if you have like understanding for people and seeing that they depend on you, that's so hard. And that thing actually put me in a 2-year depression, where I was not able to do absolutely anything until step by step, those people moved either to other companies or started self-employment, where I was able to actually close the agency without having the guilt on my back. So you said that you would never hire people again. Well, you would never hire them. And I say that for myself as well. I would never do that part again. Not because I don't like working with people, but as you said, someone is depending on you, and you cannot make decisions that you would at
Correct.
certain points. So I absolutely love that. And I actually read that it's all just the two of you, all of these projects and everything, and the books and everything. So I really wanted to see what's going on. How do you even manage that? Like, just the two of you? You said 2 or 3 kids?
We have 2 kids and 4 dogs.
2 kids, 4 dogs. I mean, it's such a huge thing, and it's just the two of you. So how do you balance things?
We don't.
We don't.
I mean,
No,
okay.
the thing is, we do, but not in a traditional way. People, how do you do work and life?
Okay.
They are not separate
Okay.
in any possible way. They are one thing. So
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I meant by no balance, which is that, the balance, I mean, and it shifts more heavily towards work than life, which is, I'll admit that it's not the healthiest thing to do, and it's not for everyone, but we love working. I mean, it's when we're on vacation at a beach where we just have to stare at the ocean, we're like, why are we just looking at the ocean?
We could be doing this so much.
Yeah.
It's pretty, but after half an hour, I'm good.
But we would not have that if we were working for somebody else. And
Absolutely.
the work environment and the work itself was different.
Yeah.
So I think it is important to note that we love working, but the thing is we love the work that we do.
Yeah. I can absolutely understand that because the freedom, I mean, you have 2 kids, 4 dogs. I have no kids, no dogs at the moment, nothing. Just me and my husband. Lucky. But, and I understand the same is for you. You actually have the freedom to choose what you do today. Like if you are taking at the middle of the day, your school, kids finish the school and you just want to be with them on a mountain, you go and have a hike.
Yeah.
And that's honestly the most amazing thing we freelancers can do. And I've been thinking a lot lately about it because I've talked to some other people. A couple of days ago on Wednesday, I published an episode with James Bernard. He's in Australia now, also like 20 years of experience. And he said, like, I could be an art director somewhere and have this kind of secure job, but I actually want to be a freelancer and have my freedom. So it's really one of the things that brings me to this. You know, I have a Type Foundry and this podcast at the moment, and it gives the freedom. And honestly, what you said, Bryony, I would never work for someone at this stage, knowing what I know. Like I wouldn't.
And knowing myself the way I know myself, it would not be pretty.
Yeah. I totally understand that and encourage that so much. But how does it, I mean, you have been together for so long. And I've been with my husband for more than 20 years now. So I know the dynamic and we've even worked together and everything, but how do you two manage things between you two in work, personal environments?
I think what we found is that we each have our own sort of areas of expertise and what we know what we're good at and we know what we're bad at.
And it doesn't matter if you like doing it or not.
Okay.
It's really important because like I handle all of the finances. I don't care for it. But somebody has to do it. And it's not going to be Armin.
Yeah. And I handle all of the coding of our websites. And like, I know how to do it. I don't necessarily enjoy it, but you know, it's what needs to be done to get things done. And Brian is not going to do it.
Okay.
And if you look at my screen every now and then, it's just like, you know, PHP lines of code, like that is just a nightmare. Like, yeah, I know, but you know,
I'm dyslexic and I see that and I cannot make any sense out of it.
Any sense. Okay. Okay,
so I think when two creatives that are partners, when they struggle is when they're both designing and they're both trying to get their vision, you know, chosen by the client or make their way of working happen. I think that's where friction happens. And I think the fact that we're both working for the same goal, but so we're completely on separate tracks and we come together. You know, we come in and out together and it's just like, we're not stepping on each other's toes. We're complimenting each other.
Supporting each other, always providing feedback and honest opinion and all of that. But yeah, it just comes to, we're focused on whatever it is that we're trying to achieve.
Yeah. The outcome in general is like not lose money, have some sort of fun in the process, and go to bed together at night without having fought or with each other. It's just like, that's the goal. And we make that happen by just, you know, it's not compromise. It's just understanding. You know,
I don't think we've ever
it's not a compromise. It's just a matter of like listening to each other, figuring out what's important to each person, and then making sure that those things are, you know, respected, encouraged, and we're here to make it happen together. Because at the end of the day, like, you know, if we contradicted each other, if we fought, like, you know, we don't make money, and that shows in the final product. And in our case, the final product is public facing to an audience of designers. So, if there's friction all the way through, people are going to feel that at the end. So, when we show up on stage for the conference, like the first thing that we said, like, hey, we're married. So, whatever you see the dynamic that you see happening on stage is going to explain a lot once you know that we're married and that we're doing this together.
But to expand on that a little bit and going back to when we met, when Armin called me within 24 hours of meeting and he's like, do you want to go out? That's how we talk to each other the whole time. There's no, okay, I do not want to hurt your feelings, but this sucks. No. Hey, what do you think of this? It sucks because of this. Yeah, you're right. All right, moving on. Let me try that again. Like, we do not try to protect or sugarcoat things. We are very honest in our opinions of all of the, whatever it is that we're doing, be it design or admin or life decisions or raising kids, whatever it is. The opinion is transparent and it's open and it's willing to reciprocate, in that conversation.
That's really good because, as you said, no sugarcoating, no pretending like, oh, I don't want to hurt your feelings, because it's not really your feelings. It's our goal together. So that's really good. I love that.
And so you also know that the other person's not being mean. It's just, it is a straight up opinion. Yeah.
No, I absolutely understand that. And that it took time to get to that point, understanding that it's not, that the feedback is not for you guys, but for the project itself. Did you take time to get used to that, or it was from the beginning?
From the beginning, I think we just, we always understood that we were on our own, and, we had to trust each other and understand that, we're both doing it for the same goal, which is to be able to survive day to day, have a,
and have pride in what we're doing.
Yeah.
I think that's also a big part.
Yeah.
Like, the kind of the rule of nothing shitty leaves the office kind of thing. Nothing half-assed leaves the office, whether it was for client work way back then or now through the conferences. Like, we don't do mediocre, and we do not allow each other to do mediocre or get away with not putting your full effort.
And how do you, this is what really interests me, because at one point you had kids, you had family life, you had clients, you also had all these blogs and the work that you do at the moment. You were working on 2 or 3 books as well at one point. How do you actually manage to have it on 100% everything without actually like burning out the next day?
Well, we did burn out a couple of times. That did happen. Not in a drastic way or anything like that. Like, just being sick for 3 or 4 weeks and not being able to get over a cold, both of us is like, okay, our bodies are obviously telling us that working 18 hours a day is not the way to go.
Okay.
So smaller things like that. And then just like each day we get a little bit better, a little bit more efficient, a little bit more organized, the micromanaging of things is something that we do a lot and have perfected over the years. And that just makes it easier every time you try to do the same thing again. So say for a conference, the amount of spreadsheets that exists for all of these conferences, but they are so tight. And I can reference right now, like we're going back to Nashville after 10 years. I can reference those spreadsheets and be like, okay, these were the hotels that we worked with. This is where we took the speakers to dinner. This is like, this is all the information. Wow. And so I don't have to start over. I can just reference all of these things. And so we apply that throughout, just being super organized.
I think we try to be as efficient as possible. I think at the beginning, early years, you sort of struggle with being able to do good work in a quick period of time. So I think at the beginning we work. I think we're working the same amount of hours now as we did 20 years ago, but I think now we're able to produce more within that limited amount of time, just because it's like anything that you practice, you get better at it. But yeah, I think a lot of it has just been, the willingness to work more hours than others. And like we do work more hours than a lot of people. And,
even our kids are like, come on, guys. It's like,
Really?
I know I'm not paying attention to you and I don't want to hang out with you right now because it's Saturday at 4 p.m. But why are you on your computer again?
yeah. And they're like, I'm a teenager and I don't want to talk to you, but still you're working.
Yeah.
But I think it goes back to the fact that we do enjoy what we do. We enjoy doing it together. And yeah, it's just that willingness to push a little bit harder than what others might be willing to do. And maybe it's also part of our generation. Generation X just works hard no matter what. Like you never stop.
And the cultural background
yeah.
too. The Mexican heritage in us, along with the immigrant status that we had to prove. I mean, we literally had to prove to immigration at some point, like, I'm the only one for this job kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you're constantly trying to prove that you can do it and that you're the right person to be doing it.
Okay. And you said the kids are teenagers right now. How is that going?
Well, we're halfway to being empty nesters. One is off to college.
Okay.
And the other one has a couple more years of high school, and then that will be it. And that will be another adjustment on our end. So we'll see.
But yeah,
Okay.
it's just, I think that, with kids, a lot of parents are like, oh, it gets easier with age. Like, it doesn't get easier. It's different. I mean, you're able to talk to them a little bit more. I don't even know if that's true. Like, once they're teenagers, they don't listen to anything you say.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of, you're constantly trying to figure out, how do I connect with this human being, whether, they're throwing a tantrum at 3 years old or they want a new piercing at 15 years old. Like, it's the challenges just sort of remain the same. The challenges change, but the dynamic is always there.
Yeah.
Although I have to say, the time investment is very different.
Yeah.
When they are in elementary school, like you are, or at least I, as the mom, had to be, at school X amount of times a month and always like all the extracurricular activities. Now they drive themselves to the extracurricular activities. And now they just want to hang out with their friends. They do not want to be entertained by it. So for me, many years, school ended and I had to shift at 3:30 to be mom for X amount of hours. And then after dinner, I would go back to being in the work mode. Now I don't have to do that. And that is glorious. I do appreciate that from teenagers.
Okay. That's all. Always take the positive thing from what you have at the moment. Yeah. No, that's amazing. And this year you guys had 15 years of brand new conference, right?
14.
Well,
Yeah.
Amsterdam.
Yeah. 2010. Okay. Well, we did it was 15 years, calendar years, but there was COVID where we didn't.
Yeah, 1 year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was our 14th edition, but yeah, we've been doing it for 15 years now.
Does it feel any easier after all that time? I mean, as you said, you have the spreadsheets, you have the experience, but do you still face the same challenges at the beginning, or how did it shifted?
One quick answer is that it doesn't get easier. We're more confident in our ability to pull it off. I think that's the main difference, because it never gets easier. Because the more you learn, the more ambitious you get with certain things. The more things that you solve, you're like, oh, I can do that better next time. So we're always challenging ourselves.
Or we've solved this, and now we have it down to it takes much less time. So now we have time to build and do and more and more. And so we're constantly adding things that we want to do.
Okay.
So it definitely doesn't get easier. It gets more streamlined.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
The anxiety side of it has definitely decreased, not so much in our ability to pull it off or not, which at the beginning was like, can we actually do this? But in what to do when the things don't go right. Well, they don't go right. Things don't happen always exactly like you planned. Like at our very last conference, to make a long story kind of short, we had issues with a catering company that was there to provide the coffee. So we said, well, there's no coffee. Simple as that. And because your ticket kind of includes the coffee being served during the day, we made a stamp and we gave everybody a $10 bill back when they got their name badges and said, here's for your coffee. Go to these coffee shops around the neighborhood or put it in the bin for donation for the food shelter or food bank. And so everybody got a chuckle out of it. And we literally stressed about it once we realized what we were up against for half an hour. That was it.
Okay.
We're like,
that's a good lesson. That's a really good lesson. Yeah.
It is what it is. And I can either stress about it for 3 weeks and pull my hair out, or I can find a humorous and human solution to it and move right along onto the next challenge.
Absolutely. Amazing example of how to deal with things. Because if I imagine myself, I would, as you said, it would be like 3 weeks of going crazy all the time. So, yeah.
But had that happened to us in 2012, oh my Lord, the anxiety, the panic, it would have been a whole other level. Yeah. So that's where our growth has really kind of happened.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think another big thing that we've learned over the years is that instead of hiding all of these things that go wrong, is just share them with your audience. Like tell them what went wrong, what the challenges were, why you're not doing something that they expect you to be doing. And it's just like more often than not, it's understandable. We're all humans. Like we can't make everything perfect. And the more that they see that not everything goes right, even though on the surface you may be like, oh, this is perfect. Like, no, it's not. And this is why. So I think people also appreciate,
that transparency.
And like, everybody enjoys a good event that runs smoothly, but at the same time, like, it is humans that are putting this together and we fail and things go wrong. So it's better to just like acknowledge them and be like, hey, you know what? This didn't work out. This is why. This is what we're doing. Hopefully you enjoy it. And if not, let us know and we'll try to make sure it doesn't happen again in the same way.
Okay. Oh, yeah. It's not going to happen again in the same way.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you that.
Yeah. You've guys been through so many things, like working for agencies, having your own clients, having a conference, doing a blog, doing all these amazing things. Can you pick one that is kind of a favorite thing or that shifts through the years?
I think it shifts, but one thing that kind of carries through is a thread that carries through all of it is we have the opportunity and in a way the responsibility, because we have the opportunity that we've created to do for others. So bringing unknown voices to the stage, including certain projects in our books, things that others have missed or have not given the value to those things or people or projects or circumstances in the way that we have the option to curate and really elevate others and create connections and moments through all of the things that we do. That's kind of a common thread that really feeds us.
Yeah, and I think, there's always excitement for whatever you're doing at the moment. Like every year, I think like, oh, this is the best conference identity yet. And that happens every year. And not because I'm patting myself on the back that these are great identities, but just like that feeling like, oh, this is great. And like we get so invested in whatever we're doing that in that moment, that's the best thing. Then you look back like, oh, now this is the best thing. That wasn't the best thing. So I think never losing that sense of like, what we're doing now is the best thing that we could be doing. Okay. And on the flip side, there's things that you're like, I don't want to do that again, especially with clients, there's certain types of projects, certain type of clients that even in the moment you're like, this sucks. And they look you back like, I don't want to have to experience that again. So yeah, I think it goes both ways that, some things feel great in the moment, some things feel bad in the moment, and some you look back like, yeah, that was great or that was bad.
Okay. On the other side, you've also seen the industry evolve tremendously. What would you pick apart from AI? as the biggest challenge for the industry today?
I would say the biggest challenge is that, and I can't say much because I'm not in a working environment anymore, but I think the lack of ambition, hustle, willingness to go above and beyond what's expected. My feeling is that is getting lost, that you can do so much now with so little effort that, there's a little bit of there's too much good work. There's not enough great, amazing work. And I think that, before, to achieve great work, you had to, move.
Put in the hours and do your potato stamps.
Yeah.
All of the things. We have, in a way, too many tools and too many outlets that help us make things very pretty, very crisp, very client ready. And the clients do see it as, oh, this is amazing. But they don't know that this could be 10 times stronger if you allowed more time, more grit, more exploration and things like that, and relied less on just getting that sketch into Illustrator or Canva or whatever it is that you're using nowadays and just plopping it right away and it looks pretty.
Yeah, you can do a perfect, one thing that was, as Bryony was speaking, is mock-ups. They're killing the ability to think through how a design actually works in real life. When at Pentagram and even our jobs before, when you wanted to show a client a business card, a package, a printed piece of material, you made it. You're like, this is what, and you had to figure out, all right, what prints on what side, what size does this have to be to work. And I think that gave designers an understanding of how design works and applies in real life. That today is just, you save your logo in Illustrator and you just plop it in mock-ups and it looks great. It looks better than any physical thing that we could have done. But, it might never exist. And if it exists, no one knows how to actually get it done.
But one good example is for all of the conferences, the tote bags that we make, we always, order 3 or 4 different models that we're trying to figure out. And Armin is always printing them this one's 8 inches, this one's 8 1/4, this one's 8 1/2. And we put them on the bags and then we're actually, when I put my arm over it, this is not going to work. And we need to shift this. And if you're taller, if you're shorter, if we grab different, our kids or our other people to model the tote bag until we find the size and placement and everything that works best when people are actually using the bag versus here's the file, we just plop it in the center or to the left, or, you want to be a little bit edgy, fine. But it might actually not work once you have arms and items inside the bag.
Yeah. That's a really good perspective. The difference between what you actually have with working that before all by yourself, printing out things and everything, and actually just having all these tools and mock-ups, unlimited number of amazing mock-ups, as you said, Armin. It's not even possible to produce it in real life to look so good. Yeah. So that's really, an advantage of its own to actually know how the things work in real life.
Yeah. Every time I see a tote bag mock-up with full bleed artwork, no. Unless you have $100,000 you're willing to spend on a custom bag, this is never going to happen. And a lot of it is people don't understand, what it takes to do an actual thing.
And clients are buying into these just because they look cool and it looks great, have their logo all over and the patterns and the illustrations. And then, one is they don't realize that half of these things are not going to get produced.
Two, once it gets into production, it's a whole different thing.
Then they're scaling back because, they do not want to spend $100,000 on a tote bag.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, I understand that. And then comes the AI. What's your opinion? I mean, since you are doing this for so long, you've learned and you've shifted through the industry and through different projects. I assume that you are not afraid. Like a lot of designers say nowadays, oh, we are afraid we are going to lose the job. What's your personal, like, how does it feel for you two?
I think personally, because of the nature of our work, we have not dabbled in AI as much as other designers have. From my perspective, it's a tool that you can use responsibly or you can use it irresponsibly. But in the end, it's a tool. In the same way that the computer did and the internet and all of the different things that we've all been exposed to and have shifted how we do our day-to-day work. I think it's important to understand its impact, environmental and human impact and everything in between those two. But it's not something to be scared of. And it's also not something that all of a sudden it is, so exciting that I have to put it into everything and I need AI to organize my spreadsheets. No, my brain needs to organize those spreadsheets, because if somebody else does it for me, I'm not going to process that information the way I like to process it. So yeah, that's my general take.
Like for me, that I write for brand new so much of the time, it would make sense for somehow to integrate.
You could train that thing to follow your formula.
Yeah,
I have 10,000 posts that with my voice that I could fit into ChatGPT and like, hey, do a clone of me, but or even writing the introductions about each client. I could do that in ChatGPT easily, but by me going through the About Us page, through reading the Wikipedia page, I understand, my brain is processing what this company is. And in that same, process, I'm looking at the design, like, does this match? Does this make sense? Whereas if you just, it could take me 5 minutes to do it in ChatGPT instead of half an hour to just write one paragraph, but then I'm not engaging with the content in any significant way. So, I think for now, I'm maybe in an old person kind of way. Like I have no interest in AI. I am not impressed by AI in any way whatsoever. Like, oh, it can do it faster. I'm not impressed. I want you to do it better, not faster. I want things to come from your brain, not from a computer. So, every time I see, design that uses AI, like, great. My jaw didn't drop because you put in a few words in a machine that then did what you could do better, more interesting, more human. So, to me, it's just like.
Or, you could hire somebody to do it.
That's true as well. Yeah.
But, on the flip side, I understand there's a tool. I understand that maybe one day I'll have to implement it into my process some way, somehow. And that it is useful for certain designers and for certain aspects of the work that we do. But for me, it's just like, I don't want it.
Going back, it's the nature of the work that we do. There really is no room for it to be a big part of our lives or our work process. Okay. We enjoy our brains too much.
Yeah. I wanted also to ask, because of the blog, are you kind of, not afraid, but do you see the drop in the visits because of all the AI produced content right now, or it didn't really change much?
Well, I think the blog, brand new, is very specific. It's never been about putting out the most content or covering the most work. It's about doing it in a specific way that
has depth to it,
and that no one else does. And I'm not saying again that to self-congratulate ourselves. It's just we found something, we found a formula that no one else wants to do, and that no one else does as consistently as we do. I'm not going to say as good, but no one does it as consistently as we do. So, Instagram accounts that just gather content or websites that may be somehow using AI. I think that's fine, and there's a place for them, but none of them have can provide what we provide, which is, again, an actual opinion beyond just gathering things. I think with the subscription model too that we have, I think that changes a little bit things in that
filters a little bit.
It filters like the people that care and don't care, the people that are invested, not invested. So I think, I don't think we've seen a drastic drop in the 5 years that we've been doing this with the subscription model.
Well, going back to Brand New and your own opinions and the blogs you did and reviews of the logos you did, there's one of them that actually stood out to me, well, to a lot of people, because it's the Gap redesign, which was kind of like in 7 days, they scrapped the new logo. When those things happen, do you actually have kind of regret towards the designer? How do you approach all the thinking behind it? Because you want to be honest, of course. You want to give an honest opinion and write a good review and, dissect it in a really good way. But at the same time, on the other side, there is a designer or an agency or someone who actually did the work. So how do you balance those things?
Yeah, I think when I was younger, 10, 12 years ago, I was an asshole. Like, I didn't care. I did not care about the feelings of others. It was more about how snarky can I be. And I don't know why that was. And part of it was just because that's what drove traffic on the internet back then.
Yeah, I mean, it was the age of Perez Hilton and all of these,
Gawker and all that. That where snark was like it was like the best thing that you could do content-wise. And designers were flocking to Brand New for that tone of voice. Nowadays, whenever I read pieces that I wrote 10 years ago, I'm like, what a fucking jerk. You were such a horrible person to so many people. And I think over the past 5-7 years, I think I've taken a much more considerate approach where, I might like or not like something, but I'm going to try to explain why, not just because of my personal preferences, but how it relates to the client that we're talking about. So I try to be as constructive and as polite as possible. And also, I think it helps that, having had the experience of Pentagram and other design firms, like, I understand how these things work. I know how clients work. I know how designers at large scale work. I know what happens behind the scenes. So that gives me an understanding of what could have happened, because I probably, experienced it at some point, and also meeting so many people through the branding conference, through First Round, you hear stories. And she's like, they all check out based on what what some design results, show up as in the world. It ties back to things that may have happened behind the scenes that I know about and I'm able to relate to. So yeah, I think nowadays it's a little bit more considerate. And also it happens that I know most of these people,
because of the conferences.
So I have to be nicer, more diplomatic, which is good. I think it's made me a better writer and the content more useful to other people than just like shitting on a logo that probably deserved it, but that's not going to be helpful for anyone other than my amusement and some other evil people out there, which, that's how it works.
Your past amusement, because I don't think you would would find it amusing nowadays. Evil circles.
Did you ever go back and apologize to someone because of a thing you wrote?
I don't think I've ever apologized. I've had instances where I do meet someone that I'm, said negative things about their work. And she's like, they'll acknowledge it first, like, hey, you wrote this about me. Like, yeah, it happened. That's what I wrote. And, for the most part, they haven't been any hard feelings.
Okay.
Oh, I think everybody also sees it as a stage. And, the beauty of a blog like Brand New is also that we don't get hung up on that thing from 10 years ago. It's about what's happening now And while there is the historical context, and you can always go into the archives and look at whatever you want, that is not the main attraction.
Yeah. Okay. That's good to know. We have already passed an hour, even a bit more. I will not hold you guys up too much, but there's so many things to talk. We should definitely repeat this at some point. But I have a couple of more questions. You said you love really what you do, and you do a lot of work every day. But what's one thing that you do outside of work that you do enjoy to like just kind of relax a bit? I mean, I know from my experience, when you say like, oh, what you do like to wind down, but I love what I do. You know, when I create the typeface and when I plan the guests for the podcast, I love that. And even when I go out, I think about that. And you mentioned the situation on the beach, sitting for half an hour, not doing anything. Like, I could be doing something good, but what do you do in your own, let's call it, free time?
Mm-hmm.
We don't do free time.
No free time.
It's that simple.
Yeah, but I think like there's hours during the day where we're not working, and I think that's either we're exercising, we're cooking.
Yeah, we cook every day, and
that's amazing.
Bryony will she'll read. Like I don't read because I stare at words all day long. I watch TV. But yeah, like going to the grocery store for some like that, I enjoy that, and I'm not thinking about work. Bryony doesn't like going to the grocery stores. I go, I push my little cart. I choose food based on packaging. It's nice,
Okay.
But yeah, there's no.
So we ebb and flow throughout the day in our intensity, but we are not people who relax, who are like, okay, let's just, after our meal, sit down and, chat for 3 hours. Like we do when we go down to Mexico to visit family. They do that a lot. We do not enjoy that on a regular basis. We were like, okay, what else? We can clean the kitchen, or we can go make the PDFs and.
But like, for example, a vacation at the beach is not for us. Our ideal vacation is waking up at 7 a.m., walking.
7?
Well, Bryony wakes up at 4 a.m. She's crazy.
Oh, 4.
Yeah,
my
she's just
God.
a freak. But yeah, like walking, going on hikes, seeing as much as we can. So I think there's a little bit of, an obsessive behavior to how we operate in life and in business. But that's, that for now, at this stage in our lives, that's what we enjoy, and how we're able to, appreciate the world around us. We just like to, but at the same time, 9 p.m., we're done. Like, that's it. We're not going anywhere else. Like, we're good for the day. Okay.
Favorite TV show? You said you watch TV, so favorite TV show right now?
Right now, on Netflix, The Beast in Me was really good.
Okay.
Was really good. Stranger Things, it's always like the last season. I started watching it like, not again, the same thing. By the last season of this, like chunks that they went out, like, oh, this is why this is so good. There's one on HBO called The Chair Company. And that's
I know that
like
one.
the dumbest show I've ever seen, but it's so good. Yeah, I really enjoy watching TV quite a bit. Bryony hates watching TV.
I have no patience for TV.
No?
And it's just the way I'm wired. One is the sitting down kind of quietly and demurely and just like stay put. And I've realized that within 5 minutes, I'm thinking about 10 different things, and I'm daydreaming and plotting and figuring out stuff in my head, and I have no idea what's happening in front of my eyes.
And I think one of the best things that we've done for our marriage, I think maybe it was 12 years ago. I mean, I can pinpoint exactly the moment. It was the first episode of Game of Thrones. But before that, we were always like, let's watch TV together.
Oh, yeah.
And we would watch things that we both like, but not things that we each love. So we're all,
we were compromising.
Yeah, that's where we're compromising. We would watch like, The Bachelor or like shitty TV. And then, we watched Breaking Bad for a little bit, and that's where it started. Like, right, like, this is too stressful. I don't like it. And then Game of Thrones came out, and you're like, let's watch this. It's a new show. It's going to be great. And in the first 10 minutes, like they cut someone's head off. I'm really like, I'm out. Like I'm never watching TV again.
That's it. Okay.
And it's just like, oh, great. So I can watch all the, horrible TV that I want. And it's been great. Like at the end of the day, she goes to read. I go to watch TV. I watch what I want. She reads what she wants. It's amazing.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't have to watch TV again.
Yeah. And what are you reading right now?
Right now, I'm gonna blank out. Because once they're in the Kindle, I don't see the cover, I kind of blank out until I finish it.
But favorite book recently? Let's go with that.
I grew up without really watching TV. Like at some point, my dad was going to be in the news, and somebody realized, oh, the TV doesn't even work. So when I met Armin, I was like trying to bridge into the movies and the shows and stuff like that, and didn't last too long.
Yeah, but in terms of what she reads, she'll read anything. It's like, fiction, nonfiction, self-help, how to make money, how to be happy, how to
my kid is having this challenge. Okay, what can I learn about that topic?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a book hoarder.
But could you read a Game of Thrones? Or that's out of the question as well?
Probably.
Okay. But
Probably.
Not your thing.
Not particularly, no.
Okay.
Like I don't like thrillers and stuff like that. I want knowledge, or
kind of biographies too.
Lots of biographies, something like that, or entertainment, but it cannot be like so like your typical beach book. It cannot be that level.
Okay. Not that
I
level.
need a little bit of something.
Okay, great. First of all, before I ask you one last question for today, I want to thank you guys. I know it's not easy to have an hour and a half to do for a podcast or for anything. I know we all have so many things to do, and thank you for that. I've learned so much, and I definitely want you to come back at certain points because there are so many things to talk to you. Like you went through all of those things together, and there's so many things to do. So thank you for sparing the time for me and for the podcast. The last question, like, if you could give one advice to your younger self, what would you say?
I mean, I would say just stick with it. I think at so many points, you're like, why am I doing this? And I wouldn't say, I don't think it's even to my younger self. I think it's like, a year ago, every now and then whenever we're doing something that's manually like intensive, at the end of the day, like, why am I doing this? But then the conference happens and you're like, oh, this was great. It was worth it. So I think it's just like a constant reminder that what you're doing, no matter how hard it gets or how tiring it is, just like, you're in it. So, do the best that you can, stick with it. Whatever you put into it, you're going to get out of it. So, just kind of like, do the best that you can, at every point.
Okay. And you, Bryony?
I think for me would be to not take myself or everything quite so seriously.
Okay.
Everything is intense. Everything is at 120. Everything is at the max all the time. And so it's okay to some things, bring them down a little bit and laugh through them versus take them so seriously.
Okay. Oh, those are good ones. I love it. Well, once again, thank you guys so much. And we'll definitely meet up again for another episode or maybe in the conference or who knows what comes.
Sounds good.
No, it was fun to have this conversation. A nice change of pace.
Thank you.
Week.
Yeah. It was a pleasure to have you, and thank you once again.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Have a good weekend.
You too, guys. Bye, everyone.
Real stories with bold creatives.